Hello and welcome to another episode of Brand Retro. Today on the podcast, we have Joshua Lisec. Josh, how are you today?
Pretty dandy, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, no problem. So this is kind of your topic of expertise. I want to talk a little bit about AI today and talk about how it's changing the book publishing world. And just to kind of set you up for the topic, one of the things I've noticed in the last, call it 6, 8, 9 months as AI has kind of rattled people's cages, so to speak, is the fear of, that it's going to take over, that it's going to replace people, that it's going to somehow disrupt the industry in a negative way. And the people around me are the people that I've been working with, or at least the message I've been putting out there to my clients is that AI, obviously a powerful tool, but it's also an evolving tool. And I think now is the time to really grab a hold of it and try to leverage it and try to figure out how to utilize it within your business. So that said, respond to that and then tell me your thoughts and kind of what's your fear level of the whole topic?
Yeah, there's a few concerns that people have around AI. And for authorship, we first have to consider what authoring means. Authoring means creating something, right? Anything that's created by AI, be it content, text, images, books, whole books, book covers, etc., cannot be copyrighted. If an AI made it, it cannot be copyrighted, which means it's effectively worthless if there's no copyright protection. Right now, we have laws and social mores against plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you're infringing on my copyright. So let's say you use AI to write a book and have it design you a book cover. Guess what? I can grip it and rip it without any consequences. It's made by AI, sorry. So that addresses 98% of all fears, worries, and concerns around usage of AI. Because if the output of it is effectively useless and worthless, then who wants to have a worthless and useless book? Like nobody? Okay, so then what can AI be used for after all? Well, inside of a workflow for creating a book or for creating any content, there's a lot from market research to title ideas, kind of like a brainstorming partner, walking through the process of coming up with a book description, generating possible tables of contents, editing a transcript of you talking to, your recorder and just kind of talking your ideas out loud for a possible chapter. AI could edit that. So there's lots of ways that AI can work in the workflow. And so there is a grand place right now for people who have an AI writing know-how, who know how to augment a workflow with AI. So kind of like an AI consultant is a very hopping job to have right now. And I don't think a lot of people have figured that out yet, that there's a great place for making a lot of money teaching people how to integrate AI into their business. Not to create output that can't be copyrighted, because then what's the point? If I can't own it, it's not even my ideas. Well, I put in the prompts. Too bad. It was the output that's what was valuable. So you are hosed, as they say. In order to not get hosed, do not use AI to come up with your output that you then copy, paste, and publish.
So what about people who use AI as a collaboration tool? You know what I mean? Like, yes, they're creating the prompts, but they're also, and I'm not saying they're writing the content, but they are involving themselves to the point where they are steering the content in a certain way and again adjusting it and evolving it to the point where it's not just a direct output. Do they claim a certain percentage of ownership over that, or is it just black and white with the fact that if AI generated the output, that's it?
The way that the laws are right now, it seems very clear that whatever was the input that is intellectual property that appears in the output is intellectual property. So for example, let's say there's an image that I had created and I put that digital art into DALL-E, for example. And I had it, there's a feature inside of DALL-E, if you've ever used it, where it can kind of like hallucinate a larger version of the photo, like what else is inside, or it can like remix it. The output of, hey, expand this photo. Everything beyond the expansion of the photo is free game. And even the remixing of the photo, free game, no copyright. But whatever part of the image that went into the original that was copyrighted stays copyrighted, right? So if like I use AI to write half of my book, the half that's not written by AI is I own the copyright to it. The other half, so then it's like, well, what's even the point of using AI in this case? What are we doing here? It's about workflow optimization, speed of using it, like any other technology that makes things go faster.
Yeah. So what I've actually been coaching my clients with is the fact that, and this is just my personal thought, I don't really believe that if you learn to leverage and you learn to adopt AI as a tool in your toolbox, I don't know that it's going to completely wipe you off the face of the earth. I think it's a tool to be leveraged. How we've used it to get to this point, or at least kind of as we've worked through the phases, how it's evolved here in the last 8-9 months, is we've just tried to get it to 80%. So like you said, from a workflow standpoint, if we're writing website content, blog content, if we're writing short and quippy taglines, whatever, we're using it to kind of kickstart the creative process and to get us 80% there, or even to provide us those sacrificial lambs to kind of loosen up better ideas that we might be able to come up with because we're a lot closer to the end product or even what the client is really looking for. So from a workflow standpoint, I think it's been fantastic in the sense that it kind of takes you out of that writer's funk in a way, because you can use AI to kind of kickstart the process. And don't get me wrong, there have been times where AI hit it right on the head and we were like, oh my God, that's better than what I was thinking. However, for the vast majority of the time, it's really just been a great tool to kind of hit the ground running with.
Yes, I think so too. The way that I use AI is what not to say. Like if I'm stumped on something, of how to put something, I will put it in and I will have AI finish. I'll say like add from here, continue writing from here. And it'll come up with something so bad that it tells me what actually it should say instead. Right. And then now I know what to say next. It's an instant brainstorming partner, instant writer's block, unblocker, for sure. It's also excellent at turning raw transcript that has uhs and ums and false starts into something that's readable, which is hyper useful and can speed things along.
Yeah. How do you foresee, the next 6 to 9 months with AI and how that's going to evolve things from a marketing standpoint? I mean, obviously it's not like we didn't know it was being developed, but it's like it really caught people by surprise when it really hit the market here in the last year. And yeah. I just, I know it's evolving every day and everything we're looking at is probably the old version, but if you were to guess, what do you think's on the horizon?
I think the novelty of AI will begin to wear off and its reality will set in for a lot of people. And the reality is going to be what it is actually useful for. So right now, a lot of businesses are replacing humans in their workflows with an AI tool, with an AI software or a step or something. Little things like, instead of having a person edit this transcript of something, it's immediately transcribed by an AI and edited and summarized, and even has like suggested pieces of content to be created from it, and even have an email written up already. That replaces a VA or an EA right there, a virtual assistant or an executive assistant. That and being able to converse with a spreadsheet. So you can upload a spreadsheet and have a conversation with an AI about what's inside of a spreadsheet to quickly get an answer. That replaces analysts. So we're going to see more and more of that, and it will accelerate once people figure out the utility. Because right now, all these AIs are so cool, and you can make your own movie with it, and you can write a whole book with AI, but it can't be copyrighted. Anyone can copy and paste it. So what's the financial value if there's no intellectual property protection? Well, none. Okay. Yeah. I guess that was fun. Even though it's cool, what do you do with it? So that question, well, what do you actually do with it? Each industry is going to answer that for themselves. So digital marketers are using it for a lot of marketing related tasks because there are a lot of things that do not need to be copyrighted that are like social media content or testing emails, that sort of thing. Now, your website, you probably want that to be copyrighted so that a cover editor can't grip it and rip it, especially if the sales page works out really well. You definitely don't want that to be seized, copy pasted by a competitor. So only use AI for things you do not mind a competitor swiping it. That is a good sense of where AI fits in any given workflow.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the part we haven't seen yet is kind of the countermeasure, the counterattack to the whole thing, because there are going to be, search engines and different companies that try to find ways to monetize it and use it to their advantage and use it in a proprietary way that doesn't really allow everybody to use their version or their model of it. I don't think we've quite seen that because they haven't had enough time to develop it or kind of develop the other side of the approach. I think that's going to change things a lot. And when it does happen, it's going to create another ripple effect back the other way. Like I think about even, paid ads or even how Google operates. Google eventually is going to up their filters and create ways to control the AI function to their benefit or suppress those who are lazily using AI to their benefit. And somewhere in the middle there, they're going to want to get back the control of how people are served up those solutions, those answers, or those search results. And I just don't think we're quite there yet because it all happened so fast. I think that's a big part that's coming. Do you agree with that, or kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Why do you think that?
Because every time there's a change in the industry or a change in technology or an evolution of sorts, everybody tries to figure out how do I twist that to my benefit, twist that to my version, twist that to my model. Where I think when AI first hit, when it first, kind of became public awareness here in the last year, it was kind of just seen as like an open, we're all going to benefit from it. We're all going to share it. We're all going to enjoy it kind of a mindset. And that just never lasts. It's like when the internet first hit, it was the same thing. It was this great, amazing open space where everybody could enjoy it. And eventually business takes over. People start to jump in and try to figure out, well, what am I going to do differently? How am I going to leverage this? How am I going to compartmentalize this segment of it to create profit? And I just think that the evolution of AI and how fast it's happened, I don't think we've seen that other side yet, whatever that is.
Yes, I agree that will be interesting to see. It also could be that there's a generational adoption division, meaning that for the most part, professionals over a certain age are not going to try to optimize their processes with AI. They're not going to try to do any sort of replacing. In the same way that there are automation tools right now for processes that people in certain categories of age and certain industries do not have automated. They do it manually because that's how they've always done it. So they're a few waves behind in terms of business process optimization. Like think somebody who who does remodeling bathrooms, remodeling kitchens. Over like age 45, age 50, the vast majority of them are going to draw all of their prints with a pencil on a sketch pad. Under a certain age, they're all going to have what? They're going to show up with a tablet computer. They're going to take pictures, and then the software is going to tell them what the dimensions of things are. And they're going to manipulate the remodeling, and even like, you want to look like this? And there's a simulation of what the new kitchen could look like from that size in that space versus the person with, well, here's what it would look like. I mean, here's kind of a drawing, and here's how many inches it would be. Versus, I don't know what I'm looking at. Versus, look at your future kitchen.
Yeah.
The amount of technical ability to sketch it out is much higher than the dude with his iPad taking a picture saying, you want it to look like this? And yet, everyone would rather have this.
Yeah.
Here's what your kitchen will look like. So, even though there's greater technical aptitude here and greater experience, it's a much better customer experience to have this over here. That here's my iPad. What do you think? So, I expect we'll see that again with AI because we've continued to see it already. So, the AI will make things faster. Mm-hmm. Instead of the person having to run a bunch of different programs and create some mock-ups and then show the customer, show the client in this remodeling example, AI will be instant in creating 10 different variations. Okay, what style, what colors? Okay, boop, boop, boop. You want to look like this? Wow, I don't like that color. Can you have it be gold instead of blue? Okay. And press a button like this. And it'd be that fast. That fast versus taking somebody working manually weeks to get samples of stuff. What do you like this color? Okay, I'll have to go back there tomorrow. I'll get a different color. Send me a picture of that. Right. It's completely different. It's like living in different universes.
Well, it's like we were talking about earlier. It allows you not necessarily to make mistakes, but it allows you to take more at bats with little to no effort. Tell me how you're utilizing AI with your business, Lisec Ghostwriting.
I don't use it as much as I think a lot of people would expect me to. Being that I write content professionally, I think you would probably think that I use it for a lot. The two use cases I have found is where I'm stumped on something where like I know the author needs to talk more about this, but they just don't have more, and yet we only have a chapter that's half as long as it should be. I just don't have more. I'll throw in some ideas into an AI and I'll start conversing with it about something. It'll give me terrible ideas, but usually one of those ideas turned inside out or upside down or made the opposite will be a brilliant idea I can work with. And it unblocks me very quickly. Versus before, it may have taken me days of going back and forth. Or I'll have to ask them about that next week, what they think, what the client thinks, versus just figuring out and answering it. Other times it helps for like outlining and mapping, like what else should be covered in here, quickly taking it. In publishing, the Frankfurt Book Fair at the time of this recording has just taken place, and AI was a major theme of the event.
Mm-hmm.
And Publishers Weekly wrote a takeaway. And the takeaway of the event is that executives are giddy about AI in publishing, and everyone else is horrified. I wonder why that would be. Because executives think what? Profit and loss.
Yep.
AI does stuff a lot faster, so we can make a lot more money with a lot fewer expenses. Oh, that's great. Bigger bonuses for us. And everyone's like, that could take our job. Or that could destroy intellectual property protection. That would be such a nightmare headache to put all together the paperwork proving IP theft. Or no IP theft. Or hosed. Right? So the executive sees dollars and everybody else sees loss of job and chaos and paperwork and something they don't want to do. Plus, there have been a lot of issues with publishers announcing, oh, by the way, we're going to put all of our books into LLM training. They're going to be part of a training set. Wait a second, that's copyrighted. Well, we publish it. We can decide what we do with it or not. But the author says, no, you can't. And then it becomes this whole hullabaloo. So there's these little controversies, these micro controversies and mega controversies, I suppose, that come up. There'll probably be more of those in the future. But the really big opportunity is, frankly, no different from what was even a couple of years ago. I have been harping on all the entrepreneurs I talk to automate as much as they can with even a simple tool like Zapier. Where Zapier, where for like a few dollars a month, turns manual processes into instantaneous ones happening automatically. And AI is just another variation of that, which does it in some ways a lot better and a lot faster than Zapier. And yet, if you miss the first opportunity of automation, you're probably going to miss this one too. Right. And if you're aware of that, maybe then you'll realize, oh, okay, well, maybe I should automate as much as possible here to save time. It's a time-saving tool from my perspective. AI is a type of time-saving tool, much like ones that have existed previously that a lot of people didn't take seriously. If you don't know what Zapier is, but you know what ChatGPT is, you're probably on the wrong bandwagon.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm excited to see where all this goes, but since Jump Street, I've kind of looked at AI and the utilization of it as a tool to make things happen faster and to kind of cut through the clumsiness sometimes that we go through as humans trying to generate content and generate ideas by ourselves. It's exponentially faster to use ChatGPT or something like that to kind of rattle those ideas loose. So I really appreciate your insight on that. Joshua, before we hop off, tell us a little bit about what you do and how people can learn more about you.
Yes, so I am a human writer of human written books. LisecGhostwriting.com is where I'm to be found. I'm also all over the social media at Joshua Lisec. My most interesting shenanigans are over on the Twitter, now called X platform, and of course YouTube. I post anywhere from 30-second to 2-hour-long training videos on all things book writing, book publishing. I occasionally talk about AI, but aside from the use cases we've discussed today, that's about the size of it, as we say in Ohio.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and we will drop all those links into the show notes as well. And yeah, Joshua, thanks for being on the podcast. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Mike.
If you'd like to learn more about CyberDogs, share your thoughts, or even ask a specific question about this episode and/or the brand Retro Mindset, contact me directly at mike@cyberdogsmarketing.com.